What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome back to the Dapper Snapper Gaming channel, and welcome back to How Do I Want to Do This? This is our series where we take a look at all playable options available to players in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, then we rank them on a scale of 1 to 10 and either build them or fix them depending on how they rank. Now today we finish up our talks on the Valor Bard, the best, honestly, of the new bards, and I am looking forward to putting this to action. But before we do, make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe if you haven't already, of course share the video with your friends, and click the bell so you're notified when new videos are uploaded. This is really cool. We of course ranked this earlier this week and talked about all of that, and that'll be up in the iCard above for you to check out right there. But basically this is the new Martial Bard, and it comes with a lot of really cool toys, and it's been updated in mostly pretty subtle ways, but honestly all of them are really good. And there's just a lot of changes to the 2024 rules that make it work better than it did before. And this is now what I consider to be the best bard all the way around, which is super fun. So let's go ahead and build one together. Starting off, as always, we have our race, species, whatever you want to call it, and we're going to go with one that we have taken before already, and it's wild, honestly. Looking at just these few builds that I have done for 2024, there have only been like 3 standout choices so far. It has been the Aasimar, the human, and this one, the Goliath. We are going with the Goliath this week, and it's just they're all so good. Those 3 are just so good. It's hard for me to pick almost any other option, honestly, because they are just this good. But yeah, Goliath gives us a lot of good stuff, and I will mention some other options at the very end in the honorable mentions for those of you who don't want to go Goliath. But yeah, this is cool. They made a lot of changes to it in the 2024 PHB, and mainly the big thing is that we now get a giant ancestry, which makes so much sense because that's what we are, right? We're a little giant, and so we get to emulate one of the different types of giants. Here there are 2 that you can really focus on. To me, I would rather take the hill giant just because we have the ability to knock people prone, and that is very helpful. You could also go with fire just because that is extra damage, but to me, I prefer hill because that free advantage is really nice. You also get large form, which is basically free enlarge on yourself, which is fantastic. And we also get powerful build, which actually was just changed in the errata, which we're going to be mentioning again here in just a little bit, because of how this build used to be absolutely insane and had to be brought back, and we'll talk about that. But yeah, powerful build got changed a little bit in the errata. It's nothing too major, so it's not really worth getting into on that, but still one of the things that was affected by the recent changes. For our stats, of course, we are going to be going with the point buy system. Of course, if you're going with a different system at your table, you may have to make some adjustments, but we're going to take a 15 in our dexterity, 14 constitution, 15 in our charisma, and we're going to dump pretty much everything else. You can take a 10 wisdom, but besides that, we don't really need anything. And then as far as our equipment goes, we're just going to take some medium armor because we actually are going to be proficient with that with this build, which is nice. And we're going to take a couple of weapons. We're going with a short sword and a scimitar. Now, I have not done this combination yet on the channel. However, this is a very well-known combination in 2024 because of the properties that come online with these. The short sword, of course, has Vex, and Vex is a very important mastery that, of course, gives you advantage on your next attack, which is really great. Then there's Nick, which allows you to make another attack as part of your action. You can see where I'm going with this. This ends up being really cool. It ends up being really strong, and we will get into that here in just a second. But we also are going to take our background, and that is going to be Entertainer. Now, I would love to take something like the Sage background to get the Magic Initiate feat, but that background kind of sucks for what it is that we need because the stat boosts do not line up. Now, if you are allowed to take old backgrounds and then take whatever feat you want, I would do that, because while Musician is good, I would much rather have Magic Initiate, and so we're going to slot Magic Initiate later on in the build, but that is an option. Or, again, you know, Human is an option as well that you could take it there, but I personally wanted to go Goliath this time around, so that's what we're going to do. For our levels, we're going to start taking levels here. And listen, I'm committing the cardinal sin right now. I'm telling you right now, that's what we're doing. We're starting fighter. And I know that everybody in the comments is going to be boring. Why are you doing this? How dare you? Listen, while we can replicate what I'm trying to do by taking this level in fighter, by taking feats, it would take 3 feats basically to do what I'm trying to do with this one level of fighter. So give me this. That's why we're doing this. It just makes it so much simpler. So 1 level in fighter is going to give us what 3 feats accomplish. Number 1, it gives us the proficiency with constitution saving throws. That's what we want. Number 2, we want the 2-weapon fighting style, which we're going to get here. So that's another one. And then the weapon masteries. We have to have the masteries in order to unlock them, and we don't get those through Bard. We have to get them here through fighter. So again, you need 3 feats for that. Here we are getting it in 1 level. It just makes a lot of sense here. In addition to those, we are going to get Second Wind, which is a nice little bonus action healing thing. We're not taking any more levels in fighter, so this isn't really going to scale at all, but oh well, it is what it is. Well, you can use it whenever your bonus action is free to do something else. Now we're going to go Bard, and we're going to be a Bard for the rest of the build. Now, there are different ways of doing this. The old way was actually taking Warlock levels and going that way, but we're not going to do that because of how things have changed, and I'll explain all of that in the honorable mentions when we talk about the Warlock. So Bard 1 is going to be here at level 2, and of course we get Bardic Inspiration and Spellcasting. Bardic Inspiration, of course, has been changed slightly in how it works, and we talked about all of the Bardy things earlier in the series, and I'll put that up in the iCard above for you to check out right there for any questions on any Bard things. But yeah, we can pass these out as a bonus action, and people can use them to give boosts to themselves on some rolls, which is really, really helpful. And we get Spellcasting as well, which is kind of the main reason that we're here. For cantrips, Prestidigitation, Starry Wisp, and Vicious Mockery are going to be my go-tos here. Again, I really like Starry Wisp for that being able to negate the invisible condition. It's really, really nice. And of course, Vicious Mockery, being able to defeat people with Yo Mama jokes. You can't leave without that. For first level spells, you can't leave home without these. Fairy Fire, Healing Word, Tasha's Hideous Laughter. Dissonant Whispers is also a nice one, although it goes a little bit counter to what it is we're trying to do with this build. And of course, Sleep, because of how it has changed. It's no longer the big pool of HP and all that. It's now a saving throw, and if they fail, basically if they fail it twice, then they're incapacitated, which is pretty cool. So I'm a fan of that. It definitely is not nearly as useful here at the beginning. It's kind of flipped now because it used to be only good at low levels. Now it becomes better at higher levels. It's kind of weird. So yeah, but it's cool. Definitely consider packing that. Bard 2, we're going to get our first round of expertise, and we're also going to get Jack of all trades. So these, of course, both helping with our skill proficiencies. Our expertise, of course, is going to double our skill proficiency in one of the skills that we have taken. Of course, we got acrobatics and performance through our background, and then we got a few more by being a Bard here and by being a fighter. We got a couple there. I think you get one more by going into Bard. But yeah, we're pretty well set up on having a lot of proficiencies. We can now double 2 of those, which is great. Basically, pick your favorites on those. And then Jack of all trades is going to take any of those skills that we don't have proficiency in and give us half proficiency, which is really, really good. Definitely makes us a lot better all around. Very, very cool. Bard 3, level 4, we are going to finally get to take our subclass, and we are going to get combat inspiration. This, of course, gives us different kinds of uses of how the bardic inspiration can be expended. Of course, adding on to AC or to damage rolls, which is really cool. Very, very helpful. Although to me, I still think that they're probably best being used on their original things. I do think that it's nice to be able to add on a little bit of damage when needed and that kind of thing. The bonus proficiencies are completely redundant because we took 1 level in fighter, so we're gonna ignore that and move on. But we do get 2nd level spells at this point, and again, the classics here: hold person, suggestion, mirror image. You could go enlarge reduce, but we actually basically get this for free with large form at least once, so that's kind of a take it or leave it as far as I'm concerned. Bard 4, we're going to get our first feat, and surprising absolutely no one, we're taking dual wielder. Not only is this going to boost our dexterity up to an 18, which is really, really nice because that's what we're attacking with. We're not going with the, take shillelagh route and that kind of thing. Again, we'll talk about that in the honorable mentions, but we're going to be focusing on our dexterity this time around, and so this also allows us to unlock a bonus action attack. So we've been making 2 attacks since level 1 at this point, right? So even going back to level 1, right, we have Nick, which allows us to attack twice on that turn, which is really cool. All part of our action, and we still have our bonus action around, which is really, really cool. Now we get an offhand attack as our bonus action, so we don't even have extra attack yet, and we're making 3 attacks. Really, really helpful. Very, very cool. I love that. And of course, we're able to add that dexterity bonus to those other attacks because of the 2-weapon fighting style, which is really, really good. So our damage is scaling really, really nicely. I do like that. Before we go any further, I wanted to take just a second to shout out my channel members. Thank you all so much for all of your support on the channel. Of course, down below is that join button, and you can click that and become a snapper. And of course, at any level, by doing that, you get access to all of my build guides and write-ups. Those are down there for all of you there. I, of course, also have some homebrew content that's down there for 2024. I've got fixes for 2014 stuff. I've got builds for 2014. I've got a ton of stuff in there for you. And so, of course, members at any level get those. And at higher tiers, there are some other benefits as well. Getting videos early, getting access to certain parts of the Discord, all that good stuff as well. So thank you all so much for that support by my members, and of course, thank you for watching normally. Level 5 in Bard, level 6 overall, we're going to get Font of Inspiration. This, of course, is going to bump up our recharge of the Bardic Inspiration from a long rest to a short rest, which is really good. And of course, also our Bardic Inspiration gets upgraded to a D8 at this point as well, which is really, really cool. We get 3rd level spells on top of that. And so again, the big 3 that I always take here: Hypnotic Pattern, Mass Healing Word, Slow. Those are going to be my main ones for Bard. Bard 6, we're going to get extra attack. And of course, this got buffed to be essentially the same as the Blade Singer. So we now can replace one of our attacks with a cantrip. Here's the thing. Right now, we don't really have a great cantrip option outside of maybe a Vicious Mockery. And this, of course, is where we wanted to have the Magic Initiate, and so we'll figure that out here in just a minute. There is the argument for True Strike, but of course, we are using our dexterity for our attacks. Our dexterity is 18, our charisma is 16 at this point. So it's actually better to not use True Strike in this situation unless you just really need the radiant damage. So that is a possibility if you wanted to go that route, in which case take that cantrip. But as far as our damage goes and our bonus to hit and that kind of thing, it's better to just make normal attacks at this point. So there you go. We'll stick with that for now. Bard 7, we get Counter Charm. Of course, this has been changed quite a bit. This was horrendous in the 2014 rules, but now it's much, much better, and it's now a little bit earlier, which is really cool. And we are going to get 4th level spells at this point as well. Greater Invisibility, Polymorph, Dimension Door, those are the big ones. One that we are definitely going to take on this build, though, is Fount of Moonlight. This is a brand new one, and it's really cool. It comes with a bunch of really cool stuff, but the main thing I am here to focus on is the extra damage when we make attacks. That is very, very helpful. The downside of this is that it does not scale with upcasting, and that really sucks. I do love that we get this, and like I said, this comes with a lot of benefits for a 4th level spell, so I really like it. It's worth taking, but it does not scale, and that really ticks me off because I really wish that it at least scaled a little bit, because especially after the whole debacle that we're getting ready to talk about here in a couple levels, I don't know why they couldn't have made this one scale, but it is what it is. Bard 8, level 9, we're going to get our next feat, and I've been talking about it already. We're going to grab Magic Initiate, and this, of course, gives us the 2 cantrips and 1 1st level spell, and we're going to go with the Wizard list, but of course, we get to use our Charisma for all of these. Not that it matters with the spells that we're taking. We're going to take Green Flame Blade, Booming Blade, of course, those are going to be the main ones, and so we can, of course, replace one of those attacks with a cantrip, and most of the time it's going to be Booming Blade. If there are people next to each other, Green Flame Blade makes sense, but whichever one makes sense for the situation. And then for first level spells, there are a few options. Of course, you can go with the classic route of the Find Familiar, taking a flyby and then using help action and all that to get advantage on the first one. Then you knock them prone with your Heal Ancestry, or you use the Vex property, and then you can just kind of repeat the cycle from there. So it all kind of stacks together, which is pretty gross. Otherwise, you could take something like Shield, or if it's allowed at your table, Silvery Barbs. There are options there for sure if you wanted to go that route. Bard 9, we get our second round of Expertise, and this is definitely very nice. Again, pick your favorites on this. We definitely have 2 more to spare, so add on extra proficiency with that. And we also get 5th level spells. Again, there are 3 that I always take here: Dominate Person, Hold Monster, Synaptic Static. Those are, to me, the best ones at this level, but there are a lot of them, so definitely consider that. Okay, Bard 10. This is where we need to have a little bit of a conversation, because this is where these builds went insane before and now go a little bit less insane, but still, you know, it's kind of wild. So Magical Secrets is Bard 10, of course. And so this allows us to look to Cleric, Druids, and Wizards and possibly grab spells from them. Number 1, Wall of Force. That's one I always take, right? Wall of Force, it's just fantastic. The second one, I'll say pick your favorite. Just take whatever you want to do. It's the third one. It's the third one, right? Because originally, before the nerf, and even honestly post-nerf, Conjure Minor Elementals is a spell that needs to be discussed, because prior to this errata, this spell was absolutely stupid busted. The extra damage that you dealt on every attack is ridiculous, and then when you upcasted it, it just scaled so ridiculously fast. You know, I do my builds to level 20. I mean, even by level 17, I think on a normal turn of combat, you can be doing well over 300 damage per turn just normally, while expending no resources besides just having Conjure Minor Elementals up. I mean, it was stupid, right? And I'll talk about how that build worked in case your DM is crazy enough to allow it. I'll talk about that because it combines some things with Warlock, and I'll go over that. But again, that has been nerfed officially through an errata to where it no longer scales as harshly. It scales half as fast as it did before. It's still strong, it's still usable, and I would still take it here if you don't want to go with something like Spirit Guardians. Of course, Spirit Guardians is one level earlier and it doesn't scale nearly as well, but yeah, to me, Conjure Minor Elementals was absolutely dumb, and I mean, even at this level, I believe you could do somewhere in the realm of like 200 some damage per round, and it just gets crazier and crazier from there. It's absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, so take that. It's definitely very, very powerful, and go from there. Even with the nerf, it's still quite good. Bard 11 gives us 6th level spells, and so I'm gonna grab things like Mass Suggestion, Auto's Irresistible Dance. You're a bard, you got to take that, right? Even if you don't cast it, right? Mass Suggestion is far superior in this case to me, but Auto's Irresistible Dance is just a lot of fun. Bard 12, we get another feat here. I'm going to go with the ASI version, and we're going to go with a 20 in our Dexterity. Definitely a helpful thing there. Bard 13, level 14 overall. We are going to get 7th level spells, and of course I would say pick your favorites on that as well. One thing to keep in mind here, of course, is with the change to Magical Secrets, you can be changing out spells at any time you get these new levels of spells with any spells from any of those spell lists that we mentioned earlier, right? So if there's a Cleric, Druid, or Wizard spell that you want from any of these, when you gain a new spell, grab it. When you replace a spell, get a new one, right? And that it can be even back from like first level or second level. If there's something nice like that that you want, you can fireball if you want. I wouldn't recommend it. I don't think it's great for this build, but still, you can if you want to. It's there for you. So definitely a really nice change to Magical Secrets on that. At Bard 14, we're going to get our Battle Magic, which is pretty much unchanged from before. If we cast a spell as an action, we can make an attack as a bonus action with a weapon. Definitely nothing crazy. Definitely not what I would consider to be a capstone feature. The extra damage is not all that crazy. Although if it's something like one of these spells that sets something up, could be nice, I guess. You know, you could, I don't know, Fairy Fire and then attack with advantage because of the Fairy Fire. It's a thing, but ultimately it's not too crazy. Level 16, Bard 15, we're going to get 8th level spells. Dominate Monster, Power Word, Stun, those are going to be top ones for me on that. At Bard 16, you could go a few different ways. You could go the Tough Feat if you wanted to. My pick is going to be going with a Charisma bump at this level. That way we are more effective with hitting with things. Of course, our spell save DC is going to go up as well. It just helps us out overall on that front. So getting that to an 18 is really, really nice. Bard 17, no features, but we do get 9th level spells. Again, True Polymorph, Wish, you name it. There's tons of options out there that are fantastic. Grab it with Magical Secrets. It's all there for you. Bard 18, we get Superior Inspiration. Definitely fantastic. And finally, level 20, Bard 19, we're going to get our Epic Boon. Typically, I would say the Boon of Fate is going to be best for a Bard. With this being a Martial, definitely some of the ones that we considered for Barbarian are seeming a little bit more useful, but there are so many of them that are really nice. Honestly, there are like 4 or 5 of them that you can use, and they're all good. So pick your favorite on that one as well. So what do we think of this build? This is a classic, well, a new classic, right? A modern classic. This is very, very strong. Of course, there are different ways that you can do this to flavor it a little bit differently, but I wanted to introduce this kind of meta build. This is very meta, right? This is nothing crazy. Yeah, this obviously was absolutely stupid strong when Conjure Elementals first came out and was the way it was. But when they changed everything in the errata, this was definitely the first thing that had to get nerfed, because the scaling on it was absolutely stupid. It was absolutely stupid. And like I said, by level 17, I think you are on average dealing like 350 some damage per turn. Just stupid. And I'll tell you how we did that as we go through this. So for honorable mentions, of course, we're going to start with our other races and species, and of course, again, Aasimar, human, right? These are going to be my top picks here. Aasimar, of course, gives you so many fantastic features. There's some great stuff there. You got the fear effect, you can fly, there's just so many amazing things here. Human, of course, would allow us to take Magic Initiate early, which would be nice, and so that way we can start taking the ASIs a little earlier and that kind of thing, but ultimately not necessary if you're going to higher levels, but definitely helpful. The Gnome is also really good. Again, we're dumping a lot of these mental stats, and the Gnome helps us in a more defensive way, so that's really helpful there. For other feat options, I'm going to mention Magic Initiate again, but with the Druid side, because again, we can take something like Shillelagh to use a club. You could use a Quarterstaff, I guess, for Topple. Club could be also useful here because that has slow, but slow obviously I don't think is as helpful. So yeah, to me the club is okay if you're trying to dual wield, but slow is not nearly as good as Vex or Nick, and so that's why we didn't do that. But if you're trying to go with something a little more sad, you could go Topple with the Quarterstaff and then just have advantage and just keep whacking, but you're not going to be able to keep using the mastery over and over once the creature's already prone, right? So it's not as much of a return on that there. For other options here, we got our Fey Touched, of course. Fey Touched giving us access to the Misty Step and access to another great spell, which is great. And then our Warcaster, of course, is nice. We don't really need Warcaster on this build necessarily because we got the proficiency bonus already by being a fighter, and we also got the ability to cast spells as with a focus of one of our weapons here because of us being a Valor Bard. So we didn't really need it in this case, but it is there just to help out if you want just a little bit more security on those concentration checks. For our honorable mentions on other multi-class options, Sorcerer is going to be my top one. Of course, Sorcerer makes sure that our spell slot progression is staying on track while also giving us the proficiency with the Constitution saving throws. That's nice. Of course, with Fighter, we got a little bit more out of it with the armor stuff and of course with the weapon masteries and that kind of thing. So we just got a lot more out of it this time, but it is a valid option. The Paladin, of course, is another very valid option here as well. There are a lot of different ways that you can go with Paladin to mix with this, and they're very, very viable. It's a great way to get access to some of those great Paladin spells that you can't get with the magical secrets anymore, so definitely a really good option there. And so finally, Warlock. Okay, let's talk about what the old meta build is, and if your DM is allowing old version of Conjure Elementals, this is how you do it, right? So you're going to take your 1 level in Fighter, and you're going to go with Bard for a while. Once you get like 7th level spells, then we're going to go a couple levels of Warlock, because you actually get your invocations early, and those are a little bit different. We haven't talked about it on the channel just yet, but Warlock has changed quite a bit. Basically what we're here for though is Eldritch Blast, because Eldritch Blast is an attack roll. Conjure Minor Elementals is an attack roll. So at that level, you have 4 beams. You can replace one of your attacks with a cantrip because of extra attack with Bard. So that's 4 attacks. Each of those attacks is getting extra damage with Conjure Minor Elementals. Then you make 3 weapon attacks on top of that, because you've got your extra attack plus your nick attack plus your bonus action attack from being dual wielding. And all of that's getting bonuses too, and it's just absolutely stupid at what kind of damage it is. And then of course you add on Agonizing Blast for extra damage, and it's just dumb. So yeah, if that's allowed at your table, by all means go for it. But I would imagine that most DMs are going to tell you absolutely not, and it's too strong, and I agree. So still very, very strong, still an option worth looking at if you wanted to go that way, but definitely most tables are probably going to tell you you can't do that. So very good. Thank you all so much for watching. That is our video for today. Next week, moving on to Cleric, I believe, and that is going to be a fun one. Cleric has seen a few changes, definitely some interesting changes around there, and we'll see if it's a glow up, glow down. We'll see how the deity is treating us. But yeah, until next time, stay safe out there, stay healthy. We'll see you later. Bye bye.